Hello everyone. Welcome to the Access to Legal Aid and Allied Laws and podcast brought to you by Sikkim Government Law College. Today, we are honored to have with us Dr. Chewang Dorji Lama, the esteemed principal of Sikkim Government Law College, Gangtok, Sikkim. Dr. Lama began his career with the institution as a lecturer in the year 2001 and has since become a guiding force in the legal education in Sikkim. An alumnus of St. Joseph's School, Darjeeling, he completed his bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees from the University College of Law, North Bengal University. His doctoral thesis, titled Legal Framework of Sustainable Use of Automobiles in India and its Enforcement in Sikkim by the Sikkim State Pollution Control Boards, reflect his deep commitment to environmental and constitutional law alongside tort law. Dr. Lama brings invaluable insights into today's discussion on consumer rights and awareness in India. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you very much.
The first question is, what is a consumer and what are the different types of consumer?
Well, the consumer basically is anyone who consumes goods and services, but according to the Act, it doesn't mean that whoever consumes goods or buys goods or hires services have to be a consumer. There are certain conditions laid out. First and foremost, they have to buy the goods, whether it might be in credit or cash or maybe in any other system of payment, or hires or avails services, which are again on cash, any form of deferred payment like by through loan or any other system. The main point is that it should not be for any other further business. Like if you buy a car, you cannot further sell it. There you won't be a consumer, though you have bought car in cash. Actually what happens is it should be for his or her personal use, whether it's a good or service. But there are certain exceptions. Like for example, if that person has bought the car to be self-employed, to run a tourism business, then he will be again treated as a consumer, so that if there is any defect in the good, that is the car in this case, or if any unfair trade practice or there are a gamut of unscrupulous activities that might be committed by the shopkeeper, the car seller to him, he is very much, or rather he can avail the forum of the consumer courts.
So, what are the rights that every consumer in India is entitled to under the Consumer Protection Act?
Anyway, before I answer that, I just want to again to complete your question, the earlier question saying what are the kinds of consumer we have.
Yes.
Usually we don't have a definite kind of a consumer. It's very, very wide. We don't, or rather the Act itself has not slotted into particular categories as such. It's very, very wide, as you know, that each and everyone is a consumer of one thing or the other, or has been availing the services of one thing or the other. Anyway, coming to your next question is that the consumer, the rights of a consumer is laid down in the Act in clause section 2 subsection 9. Earlier it was included in the objectives of the Consumer Protection Council. Now the Consumer Protection Council has been given some vague powers and functions, whereas those objectives have been shifted to the definition portion of the new Act of 2019. Usually, or rather broadly speaking, it has the rights is of their safety. They have the right of getting goods which is pure, which is of reasonable pricing, and that means it says that they have got a right to protection from any scrupulous shopkeeper or service provider. Next is, again, they have the right to choose. They should have a variety, what price they are getting, and what is it. They should not, the goods should not be in short of supply, and all those kind of things are there. And another thing is they have got the right to information, is what kind of goods are there, whether it is appropriate for them to use. Another right again comes is that whether they have the right to be redressed. They can approach any forum if there has been uh, any loss or his right has been violated. This right will again give him the right to be heard in a forum. So two rights are there. One is the right to be heard, and conjunctively there he has the right to be redressed also from the various forum will be coming to them. And finally, consumer education as such. These are the broad rights. Whatever might come into these rights, which are six in total, and but it's overlapping in some cases. So it's a watertight kind of a thing here.
So, in your view, what is the current state of consumer awareness in India? Do you think people are generally aware of their rights as consumers?
Uh, we cannot definitely say that they are conscious or they are not, because the consciousness of a consumer can be assumed from the way they treat their rights or exercise their rights. But we see we are a developing country, we have to go to that background also. And the actual point of contention is that whenever you have a consumer dispute, or your right has been violated, maybe the price has been expensive from the normal thing. What happens is you have to file the complaint in the forums, whichever appropriate forum. Now, what happens is one of the main requirements is the bill. So that way, what happens is some of us, to avoid paying taxes and all, because you know how it goes in the gray market area, and if the voucher is not genuine and all, again we get into problem. Whereas want to pay lower prices. That way, it's both ways. It's not only absolute that the seller or the service provider is always at fault. Sometimes we'll be complimenting to his fault and being part of that exercise. So that way awareness is there, but that.
Yeah.
Another thing is that though it's a speedy disposal forum, it takes time and all. There are a lot of
That's true.
lacunae there.
Yes, sir. Sir, in your opinion, what are some of the most common grievances or complaints that consumers in India encounter today?
Today, as we speak, a lot of cyber crimes are being committed against people or the citizens of the country. So, like banking fraud, online scams, and all those kind of things. So these are most. Other the usual are always there. Like the goods prices, the purity, services not up to mark.
Sir, could you elaborate on the process for consumers to file a complaint in the consumer forums? What steps should they follow to ensure their grievances are addressed effectively?
Okay. So actually, we know that one of the objectives which this Consumer Protection Act came to existence was to, speedily dispose of cases, because one of the deterrents or discouragement for consumers not filing suits and cases was delay.
Mm.
As you know, otherwise we have to go according to the law of torts in the civil courts. So speedy disposal, this has made it possible for the consumer and easy access. That is also one of the things, and it's not expensive also. So what happens is that there is a jurisdiction, territorial and pecuniary. Pecuniary jurisdiction, first of all, there are three forums, or usually nowadays it's called commissions. Earlier, the district forum used to be called such, but now it's also called the commission, district commission, state commission, and the national commission. That is the hierarchy of the forum. So, district forum, a person can file a suit if the value of the goods that he has been his right has been violated is to the amount of 1 crore. Now, then state commission more than 1 crore to 10 crores. And in the case of the national commission, it is from above 10 crores. But recently, I think the government has taken out a notification. They have just they have adjusted a bit, saying that district commission up to 50 lakhs, above that 50 to 2 crores in the state commission, and above 2 crore That is the thing. Just wanted to mention that
Yes.
because there are things which we can't go into that because of the positive times, but there are reasons of doing that. And for that, easy access is there. Limited time period. It has within 21 days. It has to be sent to the person who has violated the consumer's right. And that person has to within 30 days has to respond, and those kind of things are there. Though extra times are given in between. But if there are goods which it has to be tested to find out whether the alleged violation of the consumer right like defective and all those kind of thing has to be tested, or if it is regarding service, then it will take a lot more. They will given a few times to take it to the laboratory and get it tested and all those kind,
Yes.
and that is why
So
anyway.
many consumers hesitate to file complaints fearing lengthy processes or lack of resolution. How do you think the current system addresses these concerns?
A current in the sense, first and foremost, it is for speedy disposal, speedy disposal of the complaints. That was the main objective earlier. But now what is happening is that we know that the whole legal jurisprudence works on two counts, no, like dispensation of justice. That is one is that justice delayed is justice denied is at the one end, and the other end is uh, justice should not only be done, it should be seen to be done. So that way, if you do it in a speedy way, fast, maybe it should not be justice may not be dismissed. So it has to be given some time. So there are other lacunas, flaws, a lot of things, administrative control and those kind of things and all. You know that how it take the delay and all those kind.
So, with digital transactions on the rise, are there additional rights or protections in place for consumers in the online market?
Yeah, this 2019 has taken into consideration, obviously due to the going around in the country and the world regarding marketing digital, which was obvious nowadays, like digital marketing, online shopping, and all those kind of things. That has been updated. So a lot of changes in the 2019 is related to that.
Oh, yes.
So there are things. I want to mention a few things
Yes,
regarding
yes.
that. Is that there is the consumer center CCPA, the Central Consumer Protection Authority. That has been one of the very like a game changing thing to be done. Now it is the regulatory authority. Earlier, the law itself, the act itself, did not have so much teeth. Nowadays, what can be done is that they even have the power to uh, investigate matters. So they can directly take into the enforcement count. They can, like they will be like an overall watchdog where consumer rights have been violated. They have got a multifarious activities, suggesting government what to do, even filing complaints, regulating, maybe out of courts. They might take action against the shopkeepers, and for an example, like canceling licenses for a certain time, or sorry, suspending licenses, or to the extent of canceling licenses. And there are other offenses and penalties which is newly inserted in the new act.
Oh, yes. So, what is your advice to consumers when it comes to identifying and reporting misleading advertisements? How can they protect themselves from false claims?
This is a very, very tricky question because you know that the consumer himself or herself has to be very, very diligent at the first count. Otherwise, there are guidelines for misleading advertisement, surrogate advertisement, non-use of proper use of advertisement, because targeting the right kind of audiences, no lies, it should be truthful, disclaimers in the right place, even to the extent of endorses, like celebrity endorses and all. They are also cautioned that you will find it in the guidelines for misleading and other advice. You'll get it notified. It's already notified by the government, but even being aware, sometimes that we get into that trap. So it depends upon the individual itself, but safeguards are always in place.
Yeah. So, could you provide an overview of the consumer forum system in India? How is it structured from the national to the state and district levels, and what roles do each of these forums play in addressing consumer grievances?
Actually, as I've already said that there are three
Yes, yes.
hierarchy, though the Supreme Court is also included at the final stage of appeal. What happens district forum, as I already said, the amount, the pecuniary, and it is the complainant has to file it at a district forum, where earlier it was only where the opposite party resided or worked or had a branch office. Now where the complainant resides.
Oh.
They have got that liberal thing. Anyway, next is what happens if any the party is aggrieved. He can go to appeal to the next one. That is the state commission. State Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission is the full nomenclature of all the forum, all the commissions. So what happens? You can go on appeal, and that does not mean that the appeal will go on and on. Again, that also affects the delay. No, so
Yes.
that kind of the objective can be affected. So what happens is that one stage of appeal is allowed, but before the appeal can be taken up or heard, they have to submit the amount that has been already found by the district forum and decided to be paid. 50% has to be submitted before that appeal can be taken up. Next, the state commission, whatever is decided in the state commission, will go to the national commission. And again, it's the same thing. Again, 50% is not deposited, it won't be heard. Now, here again, the new thing that has come up is that a district forum appeal to the state commission cannot be further appealed to the national commission unless and until the national commission allows it.
So can
And
they appeal to the Supreme Court?
yeah, that is later on. Supreme Court not in this hierarchical forum. They can go through special leave like fundamental right violation and all those kind of a thing. And finally, only thing is that they are trying to curtail the delay. That is why earlier it was not the case. And another thing is that the appeal has to be filed within 30 days. Though again exception is there, certain relaxation will be given, sufficient delay is there. They can show that there are sufficient cause for the delay, then they can allow in all the forums. Supreme Court is also the same. From the National Commission, it goes finally to the Supreme Court. That is also part of the hierarchical, the
So
appellate
consumer
forum.
cases cannot be entertained in high courts.
From this portion, but as law people, we can, either one way or the other, fundamental right violation. But according to the Act, doesn't have a jurisdiction.
So in your opinion, are there any drawbacks or loopholes in the current consumer protection laws in India? What recommendations would you make to provide these laws and enhance consumer protections?
Here I can say it safely. I can answer it without answering. But what I want to say is that the earlier law was having timely amendments since it came into 86 and now we are 2019. So it's quite 14, 19, almost 30 for 33 years. But in between there were amendments. What I want to say is that this law has been, it has given a lot of teeth. For example, I have already said the CCPA is there, the regulatory authority. Mediation is there. Mediation is there. A product liability is one of the thing, one of the very important topic that has been, aspect that has been inserted here. Product liability is that whatever goods is defective and you bear a loss, you can be compensated. Earlier, what happened in the law was whenever you filed a suit, pecuniary jurisdiction, those days it was 20 lakhs in the district commission, district forum as it was called in those days. What happened was it was the value of the goods against whom we have filed a complaint plus the compensation we had claimed. But now we have only have the right to value. But we can go for product liabilities that damage is extra than the defect. Sometimes the harm that in the definition you will find out like that good has exploded, it has hurt you, because one of the objectives is safety is also important. So if harm is caused, harm has been defined like you are hurt, even not only physically, mentally, that you can go through product liability. Okay, so that is also another thing that has mediation is for, again, like you can go for mediation if you don't want, because nowadays delays are taking place. I think UP students might have seen in cases also. So mediation, you can go at any stage, but once they have decided through mediation, you cannot go back to the forum again. Maybe to other forums like the superior courts, different, but consumer forum, you cannot come back there. So these are certain things.
So earlier you mentioned that Consumer Protection Act was implemented or rather passed to
this. That is what I'm trying to say. This has given a lot of teeth, but we have to see how it unfolds, how it works, because it's 2019. It came into practice around 20th July 2020. And few things, notifications and all 21, 22, 23, this when 24 it has started. We can say it has started practically from
So
2024.
what recommendations would you like to give?
That's what I'm saying. We have to see. What I found is it's watertight. It's
Yeah.
done a good job. Lot of rules and regulations have been formed now, which was missing earlier. It's
So,
so detailed.
so do you think, in your opinion, that people of grassroots level are, it's easier for them to access these facilities
Yeah,
or of the
yeah,
court?
they have. Because complainant can not only be the consumer himself.
Yeah.
It can be the government also. The Ministry of Food or
Oh,
Consumer and Food of, can be the state government, the central government, can be any voluntary consumer association, NGO, even the CCPA. I told you now they are allowed. Even in where technically also, like suppose the person who has been violated is a minor. Now through his next friend, parent, they can file. And if a person who has already filed a complaint in the forum happen to pass away in between, before the complaint has been disposed of, then the legal represent. It has got, the forum has a lot of characteristics of a civil court also. You can see it from the act itself.
so, how do you think people, underprivileged people, can approach to the court? Where should they approach first, like legal service? Will they get provided?
A very good outlet or very purposeful outlet is the legal aid through legal aid also, because there are
Yeah.
people with income of, I don't know, it's 1 lakh,
Yes, sir,
no,
yes.
below
So,
1 lakh or
SC,
less,
ST.
and women, SC, STs, and all those kinds, those deprived
Yes, sir.
classes. We have to, I
Yeah.
think we define the deprived classes from those,
Yes, sir.
like
Yeah.
with caution, I would like to
Yes, sir.
say. So that way, legal aid route is also one of the ways when the deprived. And I already told you the bodies that can also help them out.
Oh. So they
So
will be provided with advocates for their
yeah,
case.
yeah, they can do it. The state government, they all, I told you, the state government is there, consumer, central government, the consumer voluntary consumer associations,
Oh,
NGOs who are dealing with this kind of consumer rights and all, and CCPA is very much there.
oh.
But we have to see what is it's going to do, because in paper it has got a lot of teeth. That's it.
So, how can consumers safeguard themselves from unfair trade practices in sectors like health, banking, and e-commerce? Are there specific protections in these areas?
Actually, usually in the normal circumstances, what used to happen was we used to go to the civil court or the criminal court if there was a violation of health, banking, any other financial
Commerce,
institutional
yes.
thing, or even education and all. Like housing construction was not there. So the Lucknow Development Authority versus M.K. Gupta case brought this housing construction into the definition of service. Earlier it was not there. Even medical, like was never in the service definition, no, could not be included, was not included. Okay, but what happened was in this Indian Medical Association versus VP Santa's case, the Supreme Court, not the forums, the Supreme Court had included even medical treatment, diagnosis, and all those included in the definition of service. But that has become a lot of controversial and all, because doctors and all, they have to be mentally, like it's a different kind of a profession. So recently that decision has come under a cloud. I forgot the name. Recently, the legal professional was also dragged into the consumer. But interestingly, I would like to say, in that decision, this the Indian Medical Association case might come under a cloud. And I would like to say one thing is that even environmental cases where fees have been taken but properly sanitation is not maintained, that has also been attempted to be brought into the consumer forum. The objective being speedy disposal.
Oh, yes. So, do you feel that enough is being done at the grassroots level to educate rural consumers about their rights? Or what more could be done to bridge this gap?
I think a lot has been done. The awareness, you see all the publicity materials in the TVs, social. I don't know about so, because during the TVs and radios, like every time slogans, the messages were thrown widely. But social media nowadays, people are know more than required and all. I think there are certain, but a lot of things the department is creating awareness camps, even like a lot of activities are taken. They have made examples of unscrupulous traders and all those things by giving them heavy damages and all. But still, we have got a long way to go.
So, what role do you think lawyers and law students can play in enhancing consumer awareness and providing support to consumer rights?
Yeah, which has been done. Even our college was doing some of the activities like going to the villages, like organizing camps and all those kind of through the Ministry of Consumer and Food Affairs, and uh, seminars have been held and all. Even we can, the college themselves can be consumers, so we can show the way forward also, because we are also dealing with a lot of goods and services. So that can also be a way forward.
Sir, could you provide some examples of landmark cases or judgments that have significantly strengthened consumer rights in India?
There are a lot, because there are lots, but as I mentioned a few, because medical related to health and education, even education has been dragged into the consumer, though it is not expressly mentioned. So these are some of the, but there are lots, but I find this basic requirements, education and health. So I think those can be taught, and those construction, because nowadays, because once this liberalization came, a lot of transactions started to take place. That is why there are a lot of cases.
So finally, what message would you like to give to the consumers in India and to our viewers?
First of all, we should play our part.
Yeah.
First of all, we should whatever, for example, price also, we should get the right vouchers and all those kind of. If there is anything wrong, we as aware citizens should be bringing this to the notice of every like forum or the government, because they are watching with very keen measures. And also these are the things we ourselves can be an activist, maybe take up cases, form NGOs, and take it to the logical end of the cases, not leaving it in between, so that the trust of the people and the confidence are lowered. So that is one of what we can do.
Finally, sir, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Your insights have really illuminated us. And for more such legal episodes, do follow our official Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube page. Thank you.
Thank you for having
so
me.
much, sir.
Thank you.